Welcome to Extraordinary League, an actual play RPG podcast brought to you by Smash Fiction. I'm Dan Mulcairn, your game master. Playing Stitch is Kit Mulcairn.
Aloha, oi. Aloha, oi. Until we meet again.
Playing Dante is Liz Logan.
I was promised a pizza party?
Playing Luna Lovegood is Megan Bob.
Dear Quibbler readers, I'll be back soon. Different, but back soon. Lots of love, Luna.
Playing Sterling Archer and Nico Minoru is Miles Schneiderman.
Does anyone know why Nico's over there without magic balls flying around her, like, all the time? It's weird. I don't understand what the balls.
Playing Morden Solis is Claire Mulcairn.
No more talk of combat or walking through the plains. I hope every day stays dull right here in Castle Grayskull. No more cures to discover or devices to construct. Doesn't exist, don't you lament it. Old Morden will invent it. Say I can sit down for just one moment. Tell me there's no one left for me to shoot. Say the time I have left can be free time. Tell me I have no more songs to do. That's all I ask of you.
Previously, well, everything happened. Phyrexia has been defeated, the Doomstar and Cthulhu were both dealt with simultaneously, and Dr. Doom has been imprisoned. The multiverse is beginning to heal, and at the forefront of everything is the group known as the Extraordinary League. Morden, you are in your lab in Castle Grayskull. It took some time to get things up and running again. The Phyrexian invasion did a lot of damage, and there wasn't much left that was salvageable. Thankfully, you had managed to preserve much of your most important equipment and research during the evacuation, and you've been able to find reasonably suitable replacements for the rest, and so your research and work has finally begun to pick up speed. Right now, you are putting the finishing touches on your latest device. So what does it look like?
So the device that he's working on right now, it looks kind of ramshackle. It's a little tough to tell what it is. There's basically just a bunch of various power generating technology from a few different worlds and some computers all kind of slapped together. But at the center of it, there's what looks like a little platform that has a kind of tall, thin glass test tube-like dome that can descend down onto it. It's about 6 feet tall, so most members of the League could stand in it upright comfortably, and then there's just a whole bunch of sensor equipment all around it.
So, in the lab with you right now is the emergency medical hologram. You become aware, you've been very intensely, working on this device, and you become aware that he's been trying to get your attention for what sounds like probably a few seconds, and he says, Dr. Solis, did you hear any of my diagnosis?
Not the specifics, but unless there's been some major miracle recently, I assume it's just more of the same, just slightly worse, as these things tend to go.
The EMH makes a show of looking at a data pad in his hand. You know it's just a show, this is just all stuff that's in his memory banks. But he says, I'm afraid you've hit it right on the head, as it were. It's gone throughout your entire system. It's really just a very short matter of time before you start experiencing organ failure. I would recommend plenty of bed rest. You might find it difficult to keep upright. We can prescribe any number of things. We have a fair supply of medicine here, but it's only going to help with the symptoms, not the root cause, I'm afraid.
You say that now, but once I get this device working, then I'll be able to show you a real hospital, like the one that we have on Huerta Memorial on the Citadel. Who knows, they might even be able to cure me there. I'm sure they got some doctors better than you over there.
Well, I find that impossible to believe, but I suppose at this point we can hope for whatever we want.
Thank you, Doctor. I always appreciate your bedside manner.
Anytime, Doctor.
So it's at this point Stitch and Lace walk in, and they're both carrying bindles? Like the little cloth sacks hanging off the end of a stick, and looks like they're makeshift luggage. Stitch has a lot of assorted crap in there, a lot of his stuff that he's collected. Definitely the 8-track Neil Diamond. Lace, her bindle looks like it's filled with all deli meat and pepperoni and stuff stored in the fridge, so she's ready. Stitch starts rooting through the medical cabinets looking for stuff? It's hard to say.
Things, possibly.
The crap that he is putting into his bindle doesn't seem to follow any rhyme or reason to anyone but him.
Something you're looking for, Stitch?
Yeah, useful stuff for the upcoming trip.
Well, as you know, it's all sorted by atomic weight, so... Where are you headed?
Lace and I are going to find where we came from. Or at least where I came from. And if where I came from is okay with Lace being there, then she's going to be there.
Morgan continues to work on the machine. He's, like, putting a panel in place and adjusting some little, like, nuts and bolts and stuff. And he says, and how are you planning on going about that? Just using the DDC to go to some world and start asking around?
Yep.
Oh, I was being sarcastic, but...
I kind of know what Earth looks like, so I think I just have to check the Hawaii on each Earth I come to.
Stitch, I appreciate that, but you realize that could take lifetimes in order to go through all of the worlds. I'm working on a device that actually might streamline things a bit. It's called a dimensionometer. Basically, the way it should work...
He grabs it and begins beep booping it.
It's fine. Basically, the way it works, I can bombard an object with liminal rays, which is the background radiation that exists between dimensions, and by measuring the change in wavelength on these liminal receptor panels, I can determine an object...
And he's pulling stuff off of it now.
Okay, that actually needs to stay there. Why don't I show you? If it works, I'm just about ready for a test. I can determine an object's basic dimensional vibrational frequency in all 11 known dimensions of space-time, which can then be converted into DDC coordinates for that object's point of origin.
Oh, okay. Test it on Lace, because we know where she's from already.
Oh, that's a good point. We have Jurassic Park. Lace, my dear, would you mind?
She nods. She click-clacks her way in there, kind of turns around to carefully tuck her tail in.
So the little glass tube goes down on her, and I'm saying, sorry, Lace, I know you spent a lot of time in a cage once, so this will only be a moment. He beep boops some buttons, to steal a phrase, and a bunch of kind of white crackling electric light surrounds the tube, similar to what happens when we activate a DDC. It lasts for a couple seconds, and then it fades. At this point in time, smoke starts shooting out of the device, and there's a small fire that appears.
Oh no, Lace!
He basically tries to pull that cylinder off of her.
I imagine you kind of just destroy a large section of it in order to pull her out. Morden just kind of stares at it for a second. He pulls out a cloth and starts kind of coughing into it, and then shoves it back in a pocket and says, oh, it doesn't make any sense. It shouldn't have overloaded like that. Oh no. I assumed that vibrational frequency would stay consistent, but this seems to point to the idea that it actually drifts when you spend time outside your home dimension. This whole thing isn't going to work. I think I need to go back to square one.
After, patting Lace to make sure she's okay, Stitch looks over at Morden and kind of gives him, a droopy-eared, sad smile, and then walks over to Morden and gives him a little pat on the leg and says,
It's okay. I can just have adventures until you get it working.
That's just the thing. I'm not going to have time for that.
Why not?
Well, Stitch, you know I've been sick for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to have time to start another version of this.
So you're going away?
Yeah.
Forever?
Seems like. I really did want to see Sirkesh one more time. I have a nephew, and he should have been done with school by now. I'd like to see what he chose for his field. He was going to be a doctor too, and
Maybe we can just try the DDC thing, and maybe you'll get really lucky.
He doesn't sound like he even believes what he's saying.
You know, Stitch, that's probably the best option we have right now. It's a good idea, and I know you can do it.
Okay, I'm gonna go find Sir Cash.
He runs out of the room.
We now go to the depths of the caverns beneath Grayskull, where a truly twisted mind is hard at work. After years of travel from world to world, one member of the League now toils over a problem that has vexed him for years now. And now, at long last, Dante believes he has found the solution to his biggest problem.
I'm beneath Castle Grayskull, and I'm kind of sulking about, and I'm sitting on a, stalagmite. I've got like various scraps of clothing hanging off me. Like I have a little bit of the paisley coat hanging off one shoulder. I have, I don't know, I think I wore a black t-shirt at one point.
You got your Westeros clothes.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say I have like a slipper on, and I guess some underwear if I have to. And I'm just gonna be really bummed because I've always torn everything that I put on my body, and that has to change. So I made some calls, and I managed to get a hold of Captain America.
Okay. Introducing some new characters at the 11th hour, but all right.
And Captain America airmailed me some pure vibranium. And now I have this big pile of vibranium in front of me, and I'm just kind of looking at it. I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. I mean, he says it's indestructible, but I mean, is it? How am I going to get this on my body? It's kind of hard. Like, I'm going to pick up the nice box of vibranium and walk upstairs. And so I just barge into Morden's lab and get on the loudspeaker and ask everyone, including Morden, to come to his own lab. Gather round, hear ye. Friends, Luna, not Archer, Nico, Stitch, and, Morden. And I just bonk this huge box of vibranium on the table, and I just have my hand motion. I'm like,
You know, Dante, I do say that my door is always open, but it would be nice if you knocked.
I knock on the table. It is nice, huh? And I'm like, kind of like moving over, flexing a little bit, and just being like, it is nice.
Do you have a Twitch, Dante?
What?
Nothing.
Do I have a stitch? No, because I can't stitch this into a piece of clothing. It's metal.
What is it? I was just in here.
What did you call us in here for, Nimrod?
As you can see, I've ripped most of my clothing, and I need something new. Captain America, I don't know who gave me his number, whatever. They said, call this guy. Gave me some material.
Wait, what?
What?
How did you get in touch with Captain America?
Who is Captain America?
It's a long story short, he's basically just a really cool guy. Anyway, I mean, he sucks, and he's authority. He's authority, and I hate him.
Oh, okay.
But he's it's kind of hard to do a lot of the time.
That's unfortunate.
So, Dante, you come into my lab with a giant piece of indestructible metal, and you just opine about who could help you come up with a way to make it into an outfit.
Well, you do science things.
Well, the current project that I've been working on did seem to kind of just go up in smoke, so sure, I got nothing better going on right now, and trying to find a way to transform this indestructible block of metal into a lightweight and comfortable outfit does seem like a way to while away an afternoon.
Yes. Hold on. I'll be right back. Everyone, stay where you are. Be right back. Dante runs out of the room.
Why am I here? Does something need to be thrown?
Dante runs up into the control room. He's doing this all very, very fast. The control room of Castle Grayskull, because, every facility has a control room.
Every castle has a control room.
So I hit this big red alert button, and it goes, alert, alert. And I get on the intercom and I say, someone spilled a lot of macaroni and cheese in the lunchroom. All hands on deck. Needs to be cleaned. The only staff member to remain in place is Morden Solis. Please remain in your lab. This has been an alert.
Do you guys think that Dante knows that we can recognize his voice?
I think that alarm needs to be fixed.
Yeah, I don't know why we had the macaroni alarm installed.
I think Dante needs to be fixed.
As you guys are saying this, you see Max Rockatansky suddenly sticks his head in, and he says, "Guys, did you not hear the alert? I knew this day would come." And then he turns and runs off down the hallway.
Okay, we should probably go help him before...
Does anyone hang out with that guy?
I think he's nice. He's a little twitchy sometimes, but he's nice. Let's go help him with the macaroni, quote unquote.
Yes, you all should go. I have work to do here. And besides, someone in my condition clearly shouldn't be around such hazardous materials as a macaroni spill.
Stitch storms out saying, if there isn't a macaroni mess, I'm going to make one.
So as they're all leaving, Dante comes barreling down the hall and then slips into Warren's lab and hits the push button. Door closes. So, what ideas you have, Morton?
Come over here, Dante. Sit down.
Yeah.
Morden summons up his Omni tool, and he kind of cycles through a few apps on it and selects a tape measurer app, and then a holographic pink tape measurer, because his Omni tool has still been permanently turned pink from Somra, appears in his hand, and he starts like stretching it out and taking measurements of Dante, and says, "You know, Dante, if you wanted some time alone with me, there are other ways to do it than faking a macaroni spill."
Do you not know the dangers of macaroni spills? You clearly don't. There's so much to teach you.
You're right, Dante. Every time I think I've seen everything that the multiverse has to offer, you keep surprising me.
Aww.
Ooh, that tickles.
I'm just gonna X out of this fanfic.
Yep.
I'm good.
And now we go to one of Grayskull's disused storage rooms, where a card table has been set up with a box of stale donuts and a large pot of black coffee. A short distance from there is a circle of metal folding chairs holding some of the multiverse's most infamous names: Demona, Skeletor, Bowsette, Esme Squalor, Plague Knight, Lex Luthor, Mumra, Azula, Darth Vader. All of these figures face one final figure seated in a position of prominence in the circle: Vivian, who is leading the meeting.
Wow, that was a very interesting story, Azula. I'm sure that plenty of people can learn something from that experience of just how evil you were for a while there. That's great. So yes, we have time for one more person to share if they wish. Skeletor, do you have anything to add to this meeting? You've been unusually quiet.
Oh, have I? Or have I just been biding my time? No, it's true. I have been quiet, because I've been mulling something over, you see. This is a meeting for... And he raises up both of his blue hands and makes very exaggerated air quotes. Reformed villains. Now I look around this room and I see...
Oh, Skeletor.
Yes?
Quickly, before you speak, would you mind just scoring your evil today? On a scale of 1 to 10, how evil are you feeling today?
Skeletor is always at a 10. Wait, 10 is the top of the scale, right?
You are correct.
Skeletor is always at a 10.
Sorry, continue.
Yes, well, I see a lot of people who claim to be villains, and frankly, I'm not entirely sure I agree. Then there are those that legitimately attempted to destroy the multiverse, and they're claiming that it was just because they were infected by some sort of plague. And then there are true villains, like me. And finally, we have people who aren't really villainous. They're just cowardly traitors. And he looks across the circle at Demona. And Demona narrows her red glowing eyes and says, "Listen, Skeletor, my nature might have gotten changed by Nico, but that doesn't mean I will not lay you out right here. You know I can do it." Skeletor summons his Havoc Staff into his hand. "I would like to see you try without that power sword of yours."
Vivian's going to pound her staff on the ground, because she has the Lord Zed staff that she gained before, but with the Z on the top converted to a V. And she says, "Enough!" She points her staff at the coffee maker and says, "Don't make me transform the coffee maker into a monster once again. You all remember the last time you had to deal with Coffee Bot."
Several of the people gathered here uncomfortably and unconsciously shift, glancing down at their second-degree burns that still haunt them to this day.
Now look, Demona, you know that Skeletor is just lashing out. He's on his own journey, but his path is long and winding, and it may take him some time to get to where you are.
Yes, I suppose that's true. It's not like he had the benefit of magic. It's not like he ever has the benefit of magic, is it, Skeletor? No, I'm sorry, that's my temper lashing out.
And Demona, what do we say in times like this?
She sighs and repeats the oft-repeated mantra, "No matter how evil I was, sharing my experiences can benefit others, and every day I can choose to be good."
Very good. And Skeletor, do you remember the phrase that we've been saying?
Skeletor lets out an irritated sigh and mumbles something almost incomprehensibly quietly.
Skeletor, remember our mantra.
"True peace comes not from seeking power, but instead seeking joy. No longer using others, but instead bringing joy to them."
You're correct. And when you get evil thoughts like this, I want you to write them down in your evil journal. Now, I know... I know that you enjoy sharing them with the class, but you have to understand that when you talk to Demona this way, you're not bringing joy to her.
I suppose that's right. When I write in my journal, can I use dark magic to do it at least?
Of course, Skeletor. As we know, magic is only as dark as what you use it for.
At this point, Darth Vader raises his hand.
Vivian, may I ask a question?
Yes, Darth? How would you like me to refer to you?
Vader is fine. I'm just curious. How is it that you are always so confident and self-assured all the time?
Oh, am I? I guess I didn't even realize I was. But you're right, I guess I am more confident than I have been, but I guess to that I'd just say we are what we do. And, I just needed to be more self-assured because there were things I needed to do and fear was standing in my way. So I guess fake it till you make it.
At this point, Vivian, you see that Luna Lovegood is standing in the doorway.
Vivian is going to then look at a clock on the wall and say, "Oh dear, we're already 10 minutes over. So that'll be it for this week. Everyone, all together, we do not regret the past or try to forget it, but by examining the past, we master it until it no longer has power over us. No matter how evil I was, I know that every day I can choose to be good."
All right, so all of the reformed villains, having said their mantras for the day, begin to file out past Luna.
Hi.
Stitch is in the hallway, and you can kind of hear him from off screen.
Hey, there's a lot of macaroni in the kitchen if you guys want some.
So, standing up from her chair and walking over to the table at the back of the room is Bowsette, who looks says, "Hey, Luna."
Hi. Are you ready for our date?
Oh, okay. So we're using that word now. Okay, that's fine.
Did you want to use a different word?
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
We can call it that. That's not a problem.
All right. Well, I've got the DDC ready, so we can just go to the nearest extraction point and head off.
Sure. Vivia, do you need any help with the chairs or anything? And Vivian's gonna say back to her, "I wouldn't want to make Luna wait a minute longer." So, Bowsette and Luna head off then.
All right, we will get to where they go momentarily. In the meantime, since the defeat of Phyrexia, the members of the League have found themselves with an unusual amount of time to kill. Sterling Archer has found himself leading a new cell of adventurers in a very unique mission, one that they have been training for quite extensively.
All right, so Archer has gathered the crew and is addressing them. All right, everyone, thanks for coming again. It's time for another rousing session of practice. Now, I know that we still are 5 people shy of a full lacrosse team, because there's only 5 of us here. But we had to train. We train today. We train every day. And we go out and we recruit after we train. All right? And I don't know about anyone else. I don't know if anyone, Laura, have you figured out anyone to recruit for lacrosse?
I know who we can recruit. He's a rather good-looking man, white hair, quite tall. I think...
Okay, that's enough. No more suggestions from you, I'm afraid, Laura. That's all the suggestions out of your box for today.
Miles, one of your teammates raises a hand.
Yes, Yoshimitsu. How could I... Thank you, Dan. Yoshimitsu, look, you already have a place in the starting lineup as an attackman, but that's not going to mean anything if we don't find another couple of decent midfielders and some people to fill out this structure. All right, Janet, I know that every session we ask you this question, but we're going to try it again. To your knowledge, which to my understanding is unlimited, anybody more interested in lacrosse than they were last week?
Well, based on my knowledge, I do feel as though there's one candidate in the league that would probably be the most effective were we to add him to our team.
And who's that?
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan?
Yes.
Janet, that's intriguing, and I'll tell you why. Michael Jordan, I don't know if any of you know this, but he's from my Earth. Definitely from the version of Earth that I came from. And Michael Jordan plays an incredibly wussy sport. At least he did play before he had to retire to go play another incredibly wussy sport. I don't know, but it's whatever it is. It's not the true man sport, which is lacrosse, as we all know. Isn't that right, Batman? I'm just here to beat the crap out of people, man. All right, well, I think that if we can get Michael Jordan to come play lacrosse with us team, we might not even need the full 10, right? I mean, he's one of the greatest that ever lived at a wussy sport, but you know, an athlete of his caliber, I think once he turns his considerable talents to the one true sport, he might be worth all 3 midfielders. Janet, where's Michael Jordan?
Oh, he's standing right behind you, along with the rest of the league basketball team.
League what? Basketball team.
Wussy sport, huh?
Stitch dribbles menacingly.
Hey, look, all I'm saying, Stitch, it just kind of sucks. That's all.
It's pretty interesting that you want Jordan. Too bad he's already with us.
He says, well, I don't know. I mean, lacrosse does seem like an interesting sport, but I also really do love basketball.
Michael, I guarantee you, once you play lacrosse, you don't go sleep with the boss. That needs some more work. I'm going to workshop that one. But you will not be going back to the wussy sport. I guarantee it. Michael, listen to me.
Well, I mean, I don't know. This all seems like a lot of conflict. I mean, isn't there some way that we can work this out? Maybe I can be like with the lacrosse team on weekends?
Who the hell's even on your crappy basketball team anyway?
Airbud, like, barks from right behind Archer.
Ah, Christ. All right, well, you're definitely you're a good boy. I'm not. Don't get me wrong, but basketball, isn't there a rule about this?
Stitch throws the literal basketball rule book at Archer. Nope.
Michael Jordan says, "You know what? I actually think Airbud has a point. Maybe the way to figure this out, which sport is better, is just to play them against each other and see which one comes out on top."
That makes no sense. What?
What?
Some sort of lacrosse-ball. So now we cut to the day of the big game. Stitch's basketball team and Archer's lacrosse team are facing off against each other. The court has been converted into some sort of bizarre, unnatural hybrid where there are lacrosse goals suspended above the court on poles. Both sides are using the long-handled lacrosse bats or sticks? I'm not sure what they're called.
Sticks. They're sticks.
But the nets are large enough to hold a basketball and also 2 different lacrosse balls. The 2 sides are squaring off against each other. Stitch, who is on your team?
All right, so running out onto the court, the captain is Airbud. He's like twirling the ball in his nose. Then after him comes running out Stitch, of course. He's got all 4 arms out because why not? After him is Godzilla, shrunken down courtesy of Nico. He's got his little kicks on. Please reference the comic book where that literally happens, where he literally plays basketball against, oh my gosh, Dan.
Charles Barkley.
Yes, there you go, Charles.
Yes, please cross-reference this. This all definitely has basis in serious, important things that are real and true.
Yes, in these dark times, we need Godzilla playing basketball. After Godzilla runs out the Cheat, who I think will be fucking fantastic, don't you, Bob? Oh, the crowd goes wild. And finally, wearing very, very specially made tennis horseshoes is Maximus.
Oh boy. How did I not see this team coming? I feel like an idiot every time.
And on the opposite side of the court, Archer, you've kind of already touched on them, but why don't you introduce your team?
What is this dumbass sport? What have all of you done? I'm participating in this under protest.
So Batman's on my team. Janet, from The Good Place, as we already know, who presumably is wearing basketball clothes all of a sudden. I don't even know what that looks like, but sure. Obviously, Lara Croft standing alongside Batman and Archer, her fellow rich kids. And then we have Yoshimitsu with a sword. I mean, he's got a lacrosse stick, but also a sword.
So Michael Jordan walks up wearing the black and white striped referee outfit. He brings the basketball into the center, holding it in between Stitch and Archer, and then tosses it up into the air. So we're going to play this out. Basically, each one of you will narrate what one of your characters does, and then the next person will narrate a reaction from one of their characters. You can use each character once. So it's a little surprise party-ish, I guess, but just like very quick.
Okay, shall we just roll to see who actually gets it?
Sure, go for it.
Rolling a 20. I got a 5.
I got a 19.
Archer, someone from your team can get the ball first, and you can narrate what happens first.
The first thing that happens is that Janet gets the opening tip-off, teleports above a basket, and drops the ball in.
Okay. A quick, easy goal to Team Archer.
And on her way down, she's like, yay!
Who's the ref? That's cheating. I think. Actually, I don't know the rules.
Michael Jordan holds up the rule book and says, "There is nothing in the rule book that says you can't teleport, largely because there is no rule book for lacrosse ball." He blows on his whistle and passes the ball to someone on Stitch's team.
In that case, since we're playing the no rules, I'm gonna say Airbud takes control of the ball next, and nothing in the rulebook says Airbud can't grow a jetpack out of his back.
Have we touched on how Airbud works in the in the main league for people who aren't patrons? Or he can do anything that's not in the rulebook. That is how Airbud works in league.
Airbud, using his new jetpack, goes zooming through his opponents and tosses the ball into the weird lacrosse ball goal hoop using his lacrosse ball stick. And then he chews on the stick a little bit too.
So I think Lara's strategy is she throws the ball like super high up in the air until it catches on something, and then it turns out that nobody can get to it except for her because she has a bunch of weird like climbing and jumping, like prowess, and she swings on some ropes and gets up to where the ball is stuck, and then is able to put it through the hoop from that vantage point.
Oh, can Stitch and Cheat do some bullshit?
Sure.
Can Stitch kick the Cheat up through the hoop to intercept the ball going into the hoop?
Oh shit!
Oh man.
Yeah, so that can definitely happen, but then Batman is gonna drop down from out of nowhere, his cape billowing out in a strangely bat-like silhouette.
The Cheat is so afraid.
That's because I strike fear into the hearts of my enemies, whether they be on the streets of Gotham or on the lacrosse ball court.
He just snatches the ball. There's a poof of darkness, and he's gone. And no one knows where he is. He's just gone for a few minutes. They have to get a new ball eventually. But
So Batman's just gone.
That ball is in prison now, but not for long. I guess new ball, fresh ball. We'll say it's Godzilla and, I don't know, whoever you want.
yeah, sure. Godzilla and Archer.
The ball gets thrown up. Godzilla trips Archer with his tail, grabs it, and begins dribbling down the court.
Archer takes a shot.
Is this a game that Archer is playing on his own in addition to the other game?
We are setting up a very interesting precedent for future games of lacrosse ball.
Godzilla fucking dunks it. And then he looks back and sees Archer drinking, and he's like,
He's gonna dunk it, but as soon as the ball's between his hands, he's coming down. It suddenly gets speared right through with a sword. As Yoshimitsu does a weird, graceful, spinny thing with his sword. And he spins around as fast as he can, so the ball actually, through a precise series of bounces, ends up going through all the hoops.
offended Skreonk.
Kit that just leaves Maximus.
I don't know, Bob. Maximus.
Oh boy. I guess he gets Stitch and then gets all the balls and then kind of puts them in, Stitch can kind of curl into a ball himself, puts all the balls into Stitch's curled up ball form, tosses Stitch in his mouth, and then kicks Stitch really hard, and Stitch pinballs around and also goes through all the goals, but goes through all the goals twice.
Oh shit. Well, that definitely ties up the game. Until all of a sudden, Batman's back, swings in fucking that ball right through the hoop.
So Batman scores one last-minute goal, and the buzzer rings out. You all turn towards the ref, but you notice that Michael Jordan is scribbling furiously in a notebook, and there's several long seconds before he looks up and says, "Oh, I'm sorry, is the game over? I wasn't paying attention for those last few minutes. But I just had this idea. The suspended goals and the sticks and the multiple balls gave me this idea. What if you were all riding on the sticks and they were flying?" And we had a couple of balls that were flying around and attacking you, and then there was this other secret ball that was also flying around, and that was the real goal, the one that would definitely end the game. Do you guys feel like there's a game here? Can we make this into something?
I could have been attacking people with the ball this whole time.
Martin sticks his head out from the window of Castle Grayskull and says, "That sounds like terrible game design."
Archer stumbles to his feet, drunkenly, throws his arm around Stitch.
So he's on the ground.
He's on the ground. He's by stumble to his feet, I mean stumble to his knees. Throws his arm around Stitch. Stitch, oh, buddy, let me tell you something. It sure is a good thing that neither of us had long-standing weird character arc crap to resolve.
Yeah.
This is good. The lesson is do whatever you want and never learn anything.
So I'm going to say that this scene closes out with, like, the Looney Tunes style blackout circle that just, like, closes in from the edges of the screen, stops around Archer's face, and then he just, like, winks, and then it closes fully.
Oh my
There
god.
you go.
Let's turn over and see what Luna and Bowsette have gotten up to, and specifically where they've gone to for their date.
So we're in a forest, and it is a peppermint forest. So we're in Candyland. And there's a babbling brook of soda pop. Strawberry, naturally.
As they walk along the bubbling brook, there are also some little marshmallow peeps tweeting in the peppermint branches above.
Oh my gosh, I think that's a baby peep. I think it's like a fledgling peep. I'm not very familiar with the wildlife around here. Well, I guess sort of familiar, but not usually so movementy.
Bowsette picks it out of the tree and sniffs it and says, "Yeah, I was hoping for probably a bigger snack than this. I think I'll just be getting hungry in like another 15 minutes. So, I mean, like, why even bother?"
Yeah, you should probably put it back in the nest.
She opens her mouth up and, like, has just a row of just super sharp, like, shark-like fangs and, like, holds it up, and the little peep is just looking at her with wide eyes, and then she says, "Yeah, I guess you're right," and then just sets it back. So, why did you, decide on this world to come to?
Well, it's just nice to be somewhere that's bright and beautiful and smells nothing at all like gasoline. It's about as far from Phyrexia, I think, as it's possible to be. And I also wanted to stop by and visit a friend that's sort of staying here for a little while.
I guess that's fair. I do kind of like the look of this place, if I'm being honest. All the other worlds that I've been to, apart from my own, have been kind of dull and lifeless by comparison. Nice to be somewhere that has a little color, but I don't know, maybe could use an evil-looking castle? I heard there's a guy named Lord Licorice who I might want to check out. He might have what I'm looking for.
Oh, he definitely has the kind of castle situation that you're looking for. Although it has a real sort of licorice bat infestation. I guess / benefit if you really like licorice and or bats.
Maybe we should swing by, see if he wants to come to the next meeting.
Oh, yeah, how are the meetings going? It seems like a lot of work, but maybe the good kind of work.
Yeah, I guess it's fine. Some of the people there, man, the stuff that they've done. I mean, I never thought I seemed like a good guy before, but compared to some of those folks. But you know what? They're trying, mostly, at least. So that's nice. And Vivian's really coming into her own. She's really grown a lot, I think, so.
Yeah, I noticed that. I can't believe she was able to sort of wrangle, well, everybody.
Yeah, I don't know how much good it's gonna do. That's Skeletor. He seems pretty committed to the lifestyle, let's just say.
Yeah, but I don't want to give up on anybody if they want to come to the meetings, and if they feel like maybe they can make a change, or even interested. I think it's worth not giving up until they decide they don't want to do it anymore.
I guess that's fair. We shouldn't be closing the door on anybody. I'm glad you didn't close the door on me, for the record.
Oh, I'm glad you were willing to let me leave the door open a little bit.
As you guys are having this conversation, you see, there's some Swedish fish swimming gently through the soda pop stream. And then you see, hopping up, come some little gummy worms and some tiny gummy bears. Various gummy woodland creatures have gathered around you and are looking at you through red and green and blue eyes.
Bowsette looks down like, what? What do you want?
Oh, I think people don't come into these woods that much, so they don't really have a fear of people, but I brought some alfalfa and some apple slices and a little bit of breadcrumbs. So, you guys hungry? You want some snackies?
They make the type of noise that you would expect some gummy animals to make. I don't think we need to specify what noises those are. You're saying words like alfalfa and bread, and they're just like looking at each other in confusion, but they're willing to kind of give it a try, see what's going on.
All right, here's some, this is apple slice. Do you guys, oh wait, I was going to say, can you say apple, but I don't think you guys talk. All right, so some apples, some bread. All right, you guys like it?
They nibble at it cautiously, and, their features are not especially expressive, but the look of just... It's like they just don't know what to do with this. They're just like, what are these vitamins that I'm ingesting? What are these nutrients that I'm taking into my body? They look very confused, and they sort of like gently hand you back the apple slices and start wandering back off in search of, lollipops or something.
That's, I guess if I could eat candy all the time and not feel sick, I probably would do that too. That's fair.
So, in terms of the whole being a good person thing, they're made of candy. Can I eat them? Or is that considered a step backwards on my whole being better thing?
In Candyland, it's so hard to tell. I wasn't here whenever they went to that dinner, so I don't know if they had, roast peeps or something. But I feel like if it walks and moves, we probably shouldn't eat it. We should probably stick to the plant life or the dirt, I guess. The dirt looks a lot like cookie crumbs, actually.
That seems like a pretty good rule. But enough about candy stuff. How are you? What's going on with your stuff?
Well, I'm happy that the threat of phyrexia is dealt with, so that's really nice. I guess it's just strange to have to make decisions again. I didn't realize it had been so long since I'd had to be in charge of what I did. And before that, I had a friend who was sort of at the center of a different fight, and so I was listening to what he needed and what that particular fight needed. So now I have to decide what my story is going to be, I guess. That's kind of a strange feeling.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I kind of feel like I've been stuck in a role for a while too, as the villain of the Mushroom Kingdom. But I don't know. Now that all this stuff is gone, I think I might be ready to try being a protagonist.
You'd be a really good protagonist.
Yeah, or maybe a co-protagonist.
Yeah. I didn't want to say this whenever I walked into the Hammered Brothers, because I felt like it would have been really weird. But I thought you were one of the prettiest girls I've ever seen. And as Luna, takes your hand sort of shyly.
Bowsette is just, frozen. She says, yeah. No one's ever told me that before.
I mean, would it help if I said it again?
I think I could handle that.
Okay, so I reached out to everyone for ideas as to what their characters would be doing or scenes that they'd be interested in playing. Liz gave me one, and to be honest, I'm not really sure where to fit this in or how to make it work with everything else. So we're just gonna put this in here, and listener, you can draw your own conclusions. Dante, you are standing in a large field of wildflowers. Gently rolling hills rise and fall around you, but you have the sense that this field could very well stretch out to the horizon. You look around and see a figure crest one of these hills nearby. The figure is indistinct at first, but as it draws nearer, details begin to form. Broad shoulders, long legs, short dark hair, a black leather jacket, sunglasses. It's been a long time since you saw the Terminator, but there can be no mistake that this is him.
Oh my god! I gotta say hi to this guy. This guy's cool. So I start running up to the Terminator, and as I get up to him, I raise my right hand to give him a high five. Except he's missing a hand because it's my hand. And he looks at me and says, "You have my hand!" And then in a slow motion, terrible realization that I have the Terminator's hand, I try to somehow take the momentum from my hand, but I lose it, and then it goes into this bullet time matrix thing where I'm trying to dodge his other hand, trying to grab my hand, but then I get intoxicated by the smell of wildflowers, and he ends up ripping off my hand, which is actually his hand.
All right. So now we switch, I guess, to a long shot of the two of them standing in this field of wildflowers. We shift from full color to black and white, and then at the bottom of the screen it just says Finn. I don't know what else to do with that scene, Liz. But
yeah, that's perfect.
It's a nice little palate cleanser.
Yep.
We are switching back to Candyland, and deep beneath the soaring wafer spires of Candy Castle lies its gloomy dungeons. Here, behind candy cane bars, sits a prisoner that most recently threatened the multiverse itself. Dr. Doom is here, wearing just a simple green tunic bereft of his usual armor, with the exception of his metal mask. His eyes, staring from beneath the mask, betray thoughts darker than the darkest chocolate. And I believe, Luna and Bowsette, this was the friend that Luna mentioned wanting to visit while you guys were on Candyland.
So, I brought quiche, because that's usually what I bring to people who are in prison. It's kale. I honestly thought about making it something else, but I really think you probably need some iron and some fiber and maybe some vitamin K.
At this point, there's going to be another voice from the back of the cell that speaks up. Oh dear God, thank you. They keep just giving me these candy canes, and I keep telling them I need more food. I'm not a native of this world. I need some meat. I need maybe some alcohol, something like that, just to break the board, and some cigarettes.
Doom spins around, shoots a glare to the back of the cell, and says,
"You will remain seated, Underwood, until Doom has had his fill."
Oh, I didn't know you had a friend. Or, is he your friend?
Doom has no friends. This is a criminal that was caught on this world sometime earlier, I believe by another cell of your league.
Oh, yeah, I did hear about him. Well, okay, I mean, I'm a little hurt that you don't have friends, but I think eventually we can change that. So, how have you been?
It has been difficult. And only partially because of the dietary restrictions of this place. They have sent a most unusual interrogator to attempt to get at the secrets within Doom. A large glass creature filled with red liquid. But Doom's will is strong. Doom has not broken. Not for nutrition, and not for this man. No, Doom's thoughts have been on questions. Why is it that you thought he was worth saving, when you could have so easily left him in that realm to die with Cthulhu?
Well, I think it's important, before you try to meet somebody with a fist, that first you try to meet them with an open hand. And if they take it, maybe you never needed to try anything with a fist at all. Maybe what they really needed was just somebody to reach out a hand. And so I reached one out, and you took it.
But when you extend an open hand to someone, you leave yourself vulnerable. You leave yourself open to attack. How can you be certain that you aren't putting yourself in danger by inviting others to accept your hospitality?
Well, you can't. But I also learned with Bowsette that if you try to protect yourself, sometimes you don't end up protecting yourself and you just end up hurting people. And then you didn't get anything you wanted.
That is what I did, isn't it? All those years ruling Phyrexia, directing it against the rest of the multiverse. I was a closed fist. Perhaps there were hands stretched out to me, but I don't suppose I would have known.
Bowsette steps forward and says, if you spend all your time inside your shell, you protect yourself from harm, but you also protect yourself from any good things that are happening to you. If you're hiding behind your shell or a mask, as the case may be, might be kind of hard for people to get to know the real you.
Doom hides from no one, but I take your point. Thank you for bringing me the quiche. It reminds me of my mother's recipe.
Aww. Do you have any favorite vegetables? Because I can definitely try to bring those next time.
I do rather miss eating beets.
I think they've got some really nice beets back at Castle Grayskull, so I will bring you beet salad next time.
If he doesn't want the quiche, I will happily take a slice.
Doom will have the quiche, and you will wait your turn, Underwood.
Bowsette's gonna say then, if you guys get out of here, we have these meetings you can go to, trying to, reform, that kind of thing. Underwood's gonna then say, oh, sure, I'd love to attend, but, I gotta say, I got a lot of stuff in my past. Not everybody even knows about all of it, but, people have been learning lately I'm kind of a problematic figure, shall we say.
Yes, the Kool-Aid Man has taken a special delight in some of their sessions.
For the last time, Victor, I tell you, there's no Kool-Aid Man. You're hallucinating. You're seeing things.
Doom will consider your offer, Bowsette and Luna. I do not believe it will surprise you to know that Doom only stays here because Doom has chosen to be here. But Doom accepts that perhaps he still has something to learn and is willing to listen.
Thank you. I hope that we get to talk again.
So do I.
We go now to Grayskull's largest conference room, where some of the most powerful magic users of the Extraordinary League have gathered around a long table. Elphaba, Zelda, Daenerys, Geralt, Deckard Cain, and Nico Minoru. The aftermath of the League's war with Phyrexia has left them with some very important questions that need to be answered. Zelda speaks. Firstly, I think we need to determine what we are to do about Grayskull itself. Ever since Flemeth was killed during Phyrexia's invasion, Castle Grayskull has been without a sorceress. Do we believe we have someone who can step up to that role? I will mention, only because he insisted, that Skeletor has put forth his name for consideration on multiple occasions and under multiple aliases.
Dan, what are some of the aliases?
They're mainly just like him with various pieces of fake facial hair.
Oh my god.
There's Skeletom.
Skeletor.
His most creative one, Bonesley.
Yep.
Marvin Bonesley.
Oh my god.
Frank Langella was one of them.
I think we're all smart enough to not give it to him, right? We're not doing that.
Can we say that Vivian is here?
Sure.
Yeah, speaking as his sponsor, I don't think he's quite ready for that.
Zelda looks over at Nico and says, well, Nico, what do you think? I know that before, when it was down to you and Flemeth, you deferred to Flemeth because you said you weren't ready for the role yet. Do you think you are now? Is that something that you'd be interested in?
Why does there need to be a sorceress of Grayskull? Who made that rule? Somebody who just has to, live here and take care of the place? That seems awfully restrictive for whoever has to do it, and I haven't seen any real evidence to the effect that it's a huge benefit to even have one. Why not just continue operating out of Grayskull, but not name anybody to that position? Do we really need to worry about it?
Geralt leans back and says, I hadn't really considered it from that angle. You're suggesting we all act as the Guardians of Grayskull?
I mean, that was kind of what I was thinking. I don't know how many people here were planning on, trying to find their way home.
Vivian says, well, I'm not sure if we'd be able to access the power of Grayskull then. I don't know. Maybe we could figure a way. Maybe we could start trying to tinker with the magic, see if there's other ways to access it apart from that, ways that don't have that kind of downside.
And hey, if for some reason we don't get anywhere with the magic, I mean, I know some people who are decent scientists. Maybe they could have some input.
Zelda says, speaking of dangerous sources of power, we still have the matter of deciding what to do with Frostmourne, the Soul Edge, Majora's Mask, and the Tome of Eternal Darkness.
Christ almighty.
We have all of them seated in redundant magic circles and under multiple magical shields, but we've seen that these things have a mind of their own. They will attempt to get out, and it's only a matter of time before they do. What are we going to do with these?
I'll take care of Frostmourne. I just need a new hand. The power can't transfer if I have a fake hand, and since I'm currently one-handless,
Nico puts one hand to her temple and waves the other one kind of sharply, and Dante just flies back out of the room. Anyway, as you can see, as if we needed proof, still has some pull, that one. I don't know. I mean, what does everybody else think?
Well, I mean, they could start coming to the meetings.
I mean, honestly, that's not the worst idea, Vivian.
Elphaba says, you want to rehabilitate the Tome of Eternal Darkness.
Well, look, maybe rehabilitate. I don't actually mean that they should go to the meetings, to Vivian's meetings. No offense, Vivian. I think you might see more of a net deficit from having these items there than a net benefit. But, what are our other options? Just, destroy them? I think if we're talking about what to do with these items, we have to be talking about what we're doing here. I know that a lot of people are heading out and splitting up. Are we staying? Are we still doing things? What's happening?
Zelda says, well, I suppose everyone has to make that decision for themselves, but I know that there are plenty of us that are planning on staying here in Grayskull and continuing the work of the League, protecting the multiverse, making sure that nothing threatens individual universes, getting together when there's a threat too large for any of us to handle.
Vivian says, a lot of us don't know where our homes are even, actually. I know where mine is, obviously, because you got me from there, but some of us don't even really have a choice.
Exactly. I mean, I think that it would be a waste to not find some way to use items this powerful. I mean, speaking from personal experience, with the Tome of Eternal Darkness, I felt such a great sense of power coming from it, confidence, such a sense of external power. It threatened to overwhelm me a number of times, but the power is there, and when I found it the first time, I used it to help bind Cthulhu. I got a little bit obsessed with finding some sort of magic powerful enough to stop Phyrexia. I wasn't certain that the gems would be enough, and I got it into my head that I could find something that could actually do it. I could find the thing to do it. And I was, I was part of the team, but I wasn't committed to the team. I was committed to my staff and to the book, and I didn't feel like I needed friends or frankly deserved them. What I needed was the staff in the book. And when those went out the window, when I was a guest of Doom, it was easy for me to pretend to be power hungry because I was. I just sought power in pursuit of different ends than he did. And being enslaved to something wasn't a particularly foreign or uncomfortable feeling either, because it was just another Staff of One. It was just another Tome of Eternal Darkness. But the day we beat them, I discovered two things. When I cut off the Praetors from their source of their power, that was my own magic. That belonged to me. I conjured it without help from Doom or anyone else. The power wasn't external, it was mine. And I also realized that the Extraordinary League's plan had worked. We did it using the means that we had set out to use. There had never been any need for me to find my own immense source of power. I should have just trusted my team. And after we all worked together to defeat Doom Thulu, I believe we're calling it, I finally felt like I was part of the League, not just helping them out every once in a while. And I found that I was independent, but still had friends all around me. And I don't think people should be defined by these artifacts they feel gives them an external power or makes them into a different person. These items are dangerous, but we can't just throw their power away. Not responsibly, anyway. What we can do is what we were talking about doing with the power of the Sorcerers of Grayskull. Study them. Figure out how to change them. Figure out how to use them to their best effect. Rehabilitate them in a sense by learning how they work and altering it. And actually being able to use this power to the benefit of everyone we try to help.
There's a thoughtful silence that descends on the room, and eventually Geralt says, I think she's right. We've been operating under this siege mentality because we've been so on the back foot with Phyrexia, but we've gathered all these people, all these resources. I mean, I don't know if there's a way, but if there is a way, we can find it. We can find a way to use these things safely, to tap into their power without giving into the darkness in them.
Yeah, I mean, my staff used to be real evil. Every time I tried to use it to summon lightning, it would go for my friends, or me, every once in a while. But you know what? It's getting better. Slowly, little by little. It's not easy, but yeah. And the monsters that I make with it, they're slowly becoming less destructive, I think. So I think it can be done. I like this plan.
I mean, look, if we're trying to change, the people that we found throughout our battles, those are people. I think, compared to them, trying to change some bits of metal and wood and, I guess, dried human flesh in the case of one of these items. But, these more dormant materials, there's no doubt in my mind that it can be done and that the people here can do it.
Everyone in the room begins leaning forward and excitedly talking. They honestly hadn't considered a way around this aside from destruction, but now that the idea's been presented to them, they're excitedly sharing ideas about how they can magically get around this. Nico, you're about to join in when you feel a hand touch your shoulder, and looking back, you see that Buffy is standing behind you, and she says, Nico, do you mind if we have a word outside?
Yeah, sure.
The two of you leave the conference room with the sound of excited chatter behind you, and after the door closes, Buffy smiles at you and says, I'm kind of amazed by how incredibly far you've come.
I mean, there's still a long way to go, but thank you.
I know because I've seen how difficult it can be to struggle against the pull of dark magic. And I know what kind of person it takes to win that struggle. You have all of my respect for what you've managed to accomplish for yourself.
I appreciate that. I will accept that compliment, but I will also say that the true measure of my accomplishments are gonna lie in what I can accomplish for other people.
Well, that brings me to my next point. There's been a lot of talk around the castle about some people wanting to stay here and keep the League going, other people wanting to return to their own worlds or go in search of their own worlds. I formed the League, but I did not leave my world willingly. I was pulled from it by the Phyrexians the way so many of us were, and my world still needs the Slayer. Now that I can go back, I think I owe it to my friends back home to do so. And that means that the League is gonna need a leader. And I honestly can't think of anyone that I would trust to do it more than you.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I mean, if you want it.
I mean, definitely gonna be changing the wallpaper a little bit.
She grins and says, well, I look forward to visiting and seeing how you've changed the interior decor. Look, I know there was that whole speech you gave about being independent, drawing your own power, not being bound to any sort of magical item or anything. So, if you want to turn down this particular offer, you can, but this happened to come back into our possession as we were exploring the world that used to be Phyrexia. And, well, you were the first person I thought of that should have it. And she reaches behind a pillar, and she draws out a long metal staff topped with a dragon's claw holding a crystal. You recognize it as Raceland's staff.
Oh, shit.
And she offers it to you.
What the hell? Nico takes it.
Buffy takes a step back, looks at you, and says, yeah, this feels right. I'm glad that I'm leaving things in capable hands.
Well, enjoy the multiverse. We'll be out here trying to make it better.
Oh, believe me, I'm sure there are plenty of vampires out there. We go now, finally, to one of Grayskull's larger rooms. This is, in fact, the room in which Nico's wake was held not too long ago. The mood here is more celebratory and festive now than it was then, but it's not without a certain tinge of sadness. There's a buffet table, inexplicably covered by bowls upon bowls of macaroni and cheese. There are drinks out, people are dancing or chatting, and like with Nico's wake, the centerpiece of this entire event is Morden Solus's homemade karaoke machine.
Morden takes the mic and says, this looks familiar, vaguely familiar, almost unreal yet. It's too soon to feel yet, close to my soul, and yet so far away. I'm going to go back there someday. Sun rises, night falls, sometimes the sky calls. Is that a song there? And do I belong there? I've never been there, but I know the way. I'm going to go back there someday. There's not a word yet for old friends who just met. Part heaven, part space, or have I found my place? You can just visit, but I plan to stay. I'm going to go back there someday.
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Yeah!
Woo! Dante in the
Morden.
back. Dante in the back. Yeah! That's Morden!
Morden says, sorry, I try to start off usually with more of a light song when doing karaoke to get the room going. Might be kind of a bummer, but I just kind of gotta, work through some stuff.
Hey, where's the theatrical production? I was promised some musical theater.
Oh, yeah, I was working on a musical for a while. Yeah, I might have to dig that out of the drawer. I'll keep you posted if that ends up getting finished.
I imagine at this point, Morden has left the stage and has gone to join his friends.
Yeah.
Stitch, Luna, Archer, Nico, and Dante.
Morden's walking a bit more slowly now. I'm going to say that he also has a cane.
I immediately rush to his side and help him to sit down and get him a nice slice of pizza that I ate all the pepperoni off of.
Morden?
Yes, Luna.
So I talked to the hologram. I know patient confidentiality and everything, but I just really needed to know, and I just wanted to say that we'll be here for all of it.
I appreciate that. Given the way my metabolism works, all of the biological processes that my species go through tend to happen pretty quickly. So I don't imagine I'm going to suffer all that much, if it helps.
Oh man, I just assumed with the with the one horn thing that your whatever your demon species is, you just have body parts dropping off as you age. That's why because your leg was going. I figured with the cane. Is that not how this works?
Is that what you think amphibians do?
I mean, look, Luna, I know lots about amphibians, but I never get past the books with crocodiles or alligators.
We can get some Ranger Ricks.
I could give you some textbooks on Solarian biology if you care. I've actually written a couple.
I know all about Solarian biology, moron.
Morden, do you want to go anywhere? Do you want to go to the beach or something?
I thought about it, but I just have so much to do here.
Oh my god, you have no idea. We're going to basically take all the evil corruption out of some of those artifacts that we found, and we're trying to figure out what's actually going on with the Sorceress of Grayskull thing, and it's going to be a huge project. I don't want to be insensitive, buddy, but I could use the time you have left. Or at least some of it.
So real quick, I spent all this afternoon making that new outfit for Dante out of a theoretically indestructible material that absorbs all vibrations that attempt to go into it. And
right.
And now, in my remaining time, you just want me to figure out a way to scientifically quantify and categorize evil and find a way to cure it.
I mean, I thought we could do it together.
You know what? Sure, I'll work on the musical on the weekends.
Stitch?
Yeah?
Do you want to go dance?
Yeah!
Yeah!
Mosh dance! Ooh! Dance the sadness away!
So Archer, are you going to be heading off world?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I could try and find my own world again and go back to Isis and Mother, and you know what? No, that's not an option. That's off the table. I don't know. More than honestly, I think maybe I could. I thought maybe going back to Mega City 1, but I think Mother might be preferable. I think I might just hang out here. I don't know. What do y'all? What's going on? Are we turning this castle into a club, or what's happening?
I think everybody's just gonna keep taking care of the multiverse as and when it needs taking care of. I mean, there's always going to be somebody out there who needs to be told to stop doing something.
Goddamn right. That someone's me, Luna. Up top, Luna.
All right, Archer.
Yeah.
Okay. Luna has to ask now. You know what? No, Meg and Bob has to ask, but Luna is the avenue I have to ask. So, how did making clothes for Dante go?
Well, I discovered that there was actually some ways to send some electrical currents through to disturb the material to take away its normal properties. I was able to kind of make a sort of rough chainmail fabric. It ended up working okay. I might want to iterate it on a bit further, but it's certainly an interesting material.
Is that the only thing you discovered?
Well, I did discover while taking his measurements that he has a lot of muscle mass, more than I was thinking.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Interesting. It's fascinating, Nico says.
Martin just kind of looks off at Dante longingly a bit as he's wrecking up the dance floor.
So is Dante sticking around too? What's going on?
I believe so. I have been wanting a lab assistant for a while. I will be handing this lab over to Luca, and she'll need an assistant as well when the time comes.
You guys know Buffy is leaving, right?
No, I didn't know Buffy was leaving. So what does that mean for Grayskull?
So it's weird. She actually asked me to be in charge.
Congratulations. I think you'll be really good at it.
Oh, thanks, Luna. Are you gonna stick around too? We gonna start that book club?
Maybe not with that book, but I'm definitely gonna stay for a while.
Not with that book, no.
I probably should go home and actually. I found out, guys. I found out that you can't just give your letters to the animals near you, and that they get delivered to where you need them to go.
Oh no! I'd always assumed.
Yeah, and so I think my family might be wondering where I am, and probably my friends as well. So I feel like I should probably go. They're used to me maybe not talking for a while because I've been, doing field work, but it's been a couple of years now. They might be wondering where I got to and whether or not I'd been eaten by a dragon. So I should at least go home to post a postcard or something.
Can we say that from the back of the room? There's going to be a voice that says, mind if I come along? It spells out, of course.
Of course you can come. I'd love to take you to Diagon Alley. I think you'll fit in really well.
Cool. Do you, maybe want to dance?
You know what? I'd love to dance with you.
Morden's going to, turn to Nico and say, I actually am glad about how things turned out. It could have gone a lot of different ways at different points there, but, remarkably, we kind of came through it all, and, I think in terms of all of the different possible worlds we could have ended up in at the end of this is a good one to be in. It's almost enough to make you believe in magic.
Almost.
And so we draw the curtain on our friends in the Extraordinary League. Some of them remain in Grayskull, working to protect the multiverse against whatever threat may be coming next. Some of them are heading back to the worlds they came from, or are going to wander the multiverse in search of those worlds. Some may succeed, some may not, but all of them go into the unknown, safe in the knowledge that, because they are part of the Extraordinary League, they will never be left behind or forgotten.